Hi, Sam. Thanks so much for meeting with me. I appreciate your time.
No problem. It's the least I can do.
Alrighty. Well, since this is recorded and it is going to be on YouTube for my class to see. Hey guys, so this is one of my really good friends, Sam. He does work for a production company. Sam, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you did a pretty good job at explaining my name. My name is Sam, and currently I'm a producer for a company called White Lake Productions, and we do some stuff with another channel called Bright Sun Films, which is a kind of like history YouTube channel.
Okay.
And but White Lake, we're currently working on our first major project, which is a I guess feature-length documentary. So that's the most I can go into detail on that, but that's what we're doing right now. So it's pretty exciting.
That sounds awesome. Well, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, I'm going to ask you some questions for an informational interview for my class. So, first question I do have is, when did you know you wanted to work in film?
So I guess with that, I wanted to I wanted to be an actor when I was younger. I was obsessed with that, and I was like, man, that sounds like so much fun. And I got into acting, did a lot of stuff with the theaters, but slowly I kind of like grew more of an interest in doing stuff behind the camera and found a love for it. And it wasn't until a friend came to me and was like, hey, you know a lot of people and you're really good at getting things going. He was like, you would be a good producer. And I was like, okay, sure. Something I never really wanted to do, but then really looked more into it. And I was like, oh man, like there's a lot of power in this role.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, you have a lot of say in it. So I was like, wow, this is like the best of both worlds. I sometimes there's creative aspects of it, sometimes it's strictly business, but I find I really enjoy everything about it. So I was like, let me go ahead and give it a shot. So I would say probably since a child, I've wanted to do something within entertainment, but it wasn't until later on in life where I found an interest in, I guess, like film production.
Right. So do you come from like like a background with your family in regards to entertainment, or is anyone else in your family in the same business as you? Can you go into a little bit of detail about that?
Yeah, sure. In terms of my family, there's no entertainment background whatsoever.
So you
For
you
my,
took solo.
yeah, going back to even the stuff as like a child, like other kids were going and doing like little league or like the pee wee football stuff. My parents were dropping me off at a theater, and I was going to acting classes and going to like doing productions and stuff like that. So they never really had any kind of role in that, or they never really, I would say, inspired me, or I wasn't inspired by their careers.
Mhm.
I just kind of fell in love with it myself because they showed me movies all the time, and I was like, this is cool, I want to do this. So that's kind of where I found the
Specifically Disney
interest.
movies, right?
Yeah.
I know how much you love Disney.
Yeah.
So, how did you get to becoming a producer in White Lake's production?
uh so basically like the, I guess, CEO in a way came to me with the idea that he had, and he was like, I don't know how to do this, and I want to get the ball moving on it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I kind of just put on like my producer hat and took everything I've learned from film prior to that and was like, let's get going on it. That's kind of just how I kind of fell into it in a way, to where it was like someone wanted to do a project, and I was like, let me come on, let me help facilitate everything. You tell me the people you want to interview, and I'll make sure that we're there on those days and that there's cameras and that they're rolling and we're getting going on it. We're getting started. So I kind of fell into it in a way, but that also comes from years of just working on anything I could find, whether it was paid, unpaid, doing it for a friend, doing it for an acquaintance, doing it just to do it. It was any work I could find that had any form of like, I guess, a creative outlet on it, I would take. I don't care what it was. I would figure out how to do the job. So just kind of like years of practice and years of working and coming on to other people's projects, I ended up landing this role just because I knew what to do.
And of course, the passion you have behind, behind film and just entertainment as a whole, like you definitely see that, whether it's a paid project or not, your heart is just 100% in it. And that's super admirable. So I do want to ask, like, what did you do before getting on with the current company you're working for right now?
Prior to that, I did a lot of work at the parks. So I just did different like attraction based stuff and worked within the theme parks and met a lot of people through there. And a lot of the people I met through there have gone on to do more stuff within the entertainment field. And I've worked alongside them for a while. But I was also working as a, I guess, production manager for a company that was doing live entertainment, doing escape rooms and immersive experiences. So I worked my way onto that and was like, hey, whatever you guys need, I can do it. And they're like, okay, we need someone who can make sure all of our build outs and all of our scripts and everything are done. I was like, I got it, I'll do it.
Mhm.
I knew nothing. I had no idea what I was doing, but I kind of just made it up as I went.
You fake it till
And it
you
worked
make it,
out for the
right?
best. 100%. I think doesn't believe that is crazy. You have to. If an opportunity is in front of you and someone says, "Hey, can you do it?" Yeah, I can do it. It exists for a reason. Put on a YouTube tutorial. Go read a book about it. You'll figure it out in a heartbeat. Just if someone gives you the chance, take it. Don't say
Yeah.
no. Don't ever pass anything up.
Right. Because then that's how you miss maybe the best opportunity presented to you, where it is that door, that leeway to get you into, your favorite position in any company.
Yeah.
So do you have, I know you mentioned books and stuff. Well, do you recommend any book or podcast or maybe film, like documentaries for a student in my position to look into, to be where you are in this company?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was kind of there's a great podcast called Blank Check, and Blank Check is kind of they take a lot of first time directors projects and
Mhm.
they start there and they work through every single project they've done. So their first budget all the way to their biggest. And they
Okay.
talk about that entire experience. Blank Check is great. And then if there's anyone that you love, like any directors or any artists or anything like that, finding any documentary or biography or something like that. Like there's a couple different directors I like, or just I don't know, yeah, directors. So just watching any kind of interviews that they've done, or if there's any kind of like Blu-ray bonus features, like a behind the scenes thing,
I
looking
love
how they
those.
run a set. Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool that exists. And it's so worth it to buy a Blu-ray just so you can have that experience.
Oh,
But
100%.
yeah, anything like that. I mean, if there's someone that you obsess over, for me, I really like a director named Sean Baker. He did the Florida Project, and he just did a movie called Red Rocket, and both of those are phenomenal. And both those were made for very, very, very small budgets. And you learn a lot through someone who does something with a small budget and makes something phenomenal. So
Right.
Sean Baker was doing a lot of stuff out of pocket and was doing stuff without permits or without permission. And it's like, if
Wow.
this guy can do it and this guy doesn't need permission or anything to do it,
Yeah.
then why can't I do the same thing? So it's just kind
And he
of,
got away with it.
yeah, exactly. And it's kind of obsessing over these people in a way and finding anything and everything you can. So I would say, I guess any kind of biography you find on them, any YouTube Q&A thing, if they show up on a podcast, I would listen to it. And then just overall, yeah, Blank Check is great because Blank Check talks about all these guys and how they got started and where they are today. And sometimes it doesn't always turn out great for them, but it's still cool to learn what they started with and what they came to.
Right. Wow. Thank you so much for the recommendations. I'll definitely look into a lot more behind the scenes for sure and see how, that aspect of film does turn into whatever was on paper more so as a reality, and watching, a director's dream come to life, essentially. So I'm going to
Yeah,
definitely look into that stuff.
another great one that just crossed my mind was they've been around for years now. It's a channel called Indie Mogul. And for a while they were like making like props and like reenacting stuff, but they got a new owner, so they moved to something completely different. It was basically teaching you how to shoot things. Like here's how you light a documentary interview. Here's how you light a set. Like here's a good camera to start off with. Here's a good editing software to
Oh,
learn. Like
that's
it
great.
was things like that. And those are essential because when I started working on a documentary, I didn't know how to light it, and it was going to be a really small crew. So I looked into it, and they had a perfect video on it. They gave you great examples on what to do, what to buy, how to keep it within budget. And the best part about it was a lot of that stuff you can just get on Amazon. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to spend a lot of money on it. And that's kind of what they told you. It's like, it doesn't take a lot of money. You can go to Amazon, you can go to Home Depot, you can buy just any kind of light. It's
Mhm.
just how you set it up and do all that. So Indie Mogul's 100% a great recommendation for any kind of film production, I guess, setups.
Wow, thank you so much for that. So,
Yeah.
question: I know ever since COVID, work from home has become such a big thing to do. So, do you work from home or do you work in the office?
We work from home because right now we're spread out across technically two countries. We have a guy that we work with in Canada. We have some folks out in California. We have some folks out in Austin, and then folks in Florida as well. So everything is done from home. And I think there's more than enough types of sites you can use to keep you organized and keep workflow happening. And the
Right.
funniest thing is when we're editing anything, a lot of people use it for like just fun or to hang out, but we use Discord. You can actually share your screen on Discord. So we'll literally have someone edit off of it and then just watch the edit off of Discord. Like, it's simple things like that
Oh,
that make it so like so easy. You
yeah.
don't have to be in an office. You don't have to be in that environment. You can be in the comfort of your home and wake up out of bed in a pair of boxers and a crappy t-shirt and then go straight to work and no one will know. So
Right. It's like
yeah,
pajamas on the
that's
bottom and then business on the top.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll get on like a meeting with like an investor or something, and I'll reach in my closet and I'll grab like a button-down shirt. But little do they know I have a pair of running shorts on under that.
That's
Movie magic.
wow, yeah. And COVID definitely changed a lot for every single business. And I think it's so cool that you guys are still able to work together as a team, just working from home all over the country. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Um, like I know you mentioned all over the country now. Have you ever thought of, moving to a different city possibly for work? Or would you consider, let's say, if they call you and say, hey, we need you in Canada for about 2 weeks, would you be able to make that move for about 2 weeks? Or how do you feel about that?
Within within this industry, there's definitely like times where that's needed, where you do
Yeah,
need to be together. Because, I mean, the one thing about film production, you can't shoot something at home. You actually have to be on site for it.
right.
So the thought of convenience and being together, yeah, it's like constantly something I think about relocating, trying to like figure out just a general spot. And obviously, when you look at something like film production, the capital of it is Los Angeles. Everyone goes out there. It's the mecca of this stuff. So it's a thought, but I mean, we're not at that point yet. Like, we're not at the point to where we need to be with each other 24/7.
Mhm.
The hardest part is shooting a documentary. That takes, I mean, sometimes years for certain folks. But if you're traveling around the country for it, with which most people are, you're going to go to a place maybe for like a week or two and shoot there, and then you're just going to go back home. And we've proven to ourselves that we don't all have to be in the same city for something to work. So is there a need for it? Possibly, but I wouldn't say it's a requirement. Obviously, you can't be a PA and live in Orlando when they're shooting in Atlanta,
Yeah.
but if you want to find other roles, like such as something like an office PA or a production coordinator for
Mhm.
more of a post-production side of things, or even pre-production, it's very doable. You don't have to necessarily relocate. And again, seek the work.
Yeah.
If if you love Orlando, or if you love, I don't know, Atlanta or wherever you live, seek the work. There's constantly stuff going on. Like, if you really want to do it, you can find it.
Right. No, definitely. If somebody really wants something and they go after it, then there's nothing stopping them from getting it. Um,
Yeah.
so let's see. What other questions do I have for you? So, do you have any plans of starting your own company in the future?
Um, all depends on where it goes. There's some things I would
Are
like
we
to do, but
manifesting it?
maybe. there are definitely some things I would like to do, but I think it's like the classic saying of it's lonely on the top. So working with others and being able to have something that's like a collaborative effort rather than just something that I created, that's cool and all, but I'd rather be surrounded by people I love and people that I enjoy working
Aw, that's
with. I
sweet.
know. I know. I'm not always like a horrible monster.
I never thought you were.
Only on a 14-hour shoot day. That's a different story.
Oh yeah, and then you can get really hangry too.
Oh yeah. Me, like that's after 2 hours though. So
Oh man. So what would you say is the biggest project that you have worked on outside of this company? It could be with this company, it could be with another company, just in general, overall. What is the biggest project that you've worked on that is kind of like your baby?
sure. In terms of biggest, up until recently, I got to work on the Super Bowl when it was in Miami a couple years ago. And that was such a crazy experience. I
Awesome.
really learned a lot from that. And that was like a really big deal. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like I've made it.
Mama, you'll see me on TV someday.
yeah, you're gonna see me holding cables on TV. No, what I'm currently working on, we can't really say much about it,
Of
but
course, yeah.
it's it's been a phenomenal experience, and I've gotten to work with so many incredible people and so many talented people, and having people trust me with the product and having people putting their faith in me has
Mhm.
probably been the best part about it. Cause it's like, damn, this really all did pay off. Like I've been screwed over and I've dealt with a lot of like upsets in life, and it's really easy to give up some days, but then it pays off eventually. I promise it will always pay off eventually. And right now
It
it's pretty
always
good.
does.
Yeah.
You always got to put in the work in first. But I
Yeah.
can't wait to actually know, well, when you're able to talk about it, what the project is. And I can't wait to see it if it's going to be, televised or YouTube or commercial, whatever it may be. I cannot wait to see what you've been working on.
Yeah. I'm very excited.
Yay. So what advice would you give students right now, besides what you had already said about just going after it, like when it comes to interviews and stuff? What would you give them as an advice to how to reach out to directors and companies?
Um,
Do you think they should just go for it, like you said, or is it
Always just go
something?
for it.
Yeah.
Believe in your product and believe in yourself and go for it. If you don't think your product's good enough, then it's not. If you don't believe in it and you don't believe that what you're doing is the best thing you could possibly ever do, then it will show. But if you're very confident in what you're doing and confident in your product, then that will have a huge effect. And I mean, just taking risk. Like, yeah, sure. Sometimes it is nice to go hang out with your friends and go do something together. But eventually, at some point, you're not going to have anything to show for that other than just having fun going out every now and then. Or if someone says, hey, I'm like working on this, if you want to come, like we can pay you in pizza. Like, I don't know if that's your thing. Yeah, that sucks ass. Like, that really sucks when someone says, we're going to pay you in pizza. But guess what?
Pizza and beer usually is that combination.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That sucks. But it's like, that will feed you maybe for 2 or 3 days. So, or like 2 or 3 meals and make it work. But guess what? You just got something else on your resume and you just learned something new. And talk to people. Don't be afraid to talk to them.
Amazing.
I literally reach out to people on Instagram all the time, and you would be shocked that people respond to it. They will, if you're asking them a question, if you want to learn about something, if you don't know how to do something and they do it the best, reach out to them. Who cares? I think people are too embarrassed. I think people worry about embarrassing themselves and being like let down. You
Yeah.
have to be let down in life. Like you have to have these moments where it's like, damn, I really didn't pull it off. I didn't get to do it. But you got to get through those to get to the good stuff. I think it was like the director Robert Rodriguez said you have to make 8 bad movies before you make one good one. So I think treat that with like everything else you do in life, to where it's you have to do a couple bad things before you get to do a good one. So get all the bad things out first.
Yeah.
The good should be there not too long
And
after
step
that,
out of
or
your
maybe like a
comfort
couple
zone,
years later.
right?
Always step out of your comfort zone. I love to do that. Oh my God. I love to do that. I ramble all day, but a recent thing was I don't shoot. I'm not like a cinematographer or a DP or a cam op or anything like that. But I had a situation where we didn't have someone to basically be a cam op. Everyone was sick. Like it was just a rough period. And I was like, screw it, I'll do it.
Mhm.
And the footage came out great, and I did it, and I was really proud of myself. I felt really accomplished. And sometimes that's what it takes. You just got to take that risk. If your heart's beating fast, it's a good sign. At least it's beating. Like,
Definitely. I mean, hey.
yeah, like just the risk in life, because they're like no reward with no risk. So you have to do these things. So yeah, I
Right.
mean that's my advice. Just put yourself out there. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be afraid. Just put yourself out there. I can't speak for someone who wants to be a doctor. Like, don't show up like in an operating room and be like, yeah, I can do this heart transplant. But if you definitely want to work something within entertainment, get in the way of people. Like, make it a point. And I
Right.
promise you, 9 times out of 10, it'll work out.
Yeah, I have definitely heard that. I mean, me myself, I have not ventured out of my comfort zone yet, but I do plan to. I mean, I do appreciate your time too, Sam. Like, thank you so much for all your advice. There's a lot of things that you mentioned that, you and I haven't really gotten into when it comes to work, essentially. So it's really great to shine some light on that aspect. Thank you so much for your time. And I do have a last question. Can we keep in touch?
I guess so. I'll think about it. I'm really busy, but I think we could do
Thank you, Sam. And do you
that.
think that if,
Absolutely.
let's say, I would like to intern with a production company, you can help me out with that?
I can make some phone calls.
Thank you, because it's all we know in this business. All
Mm.
right, Sam. Well, I'm gonna close it off here. Thank you so much again for your time. I truly appreciate it, and it was such an awesome time talking to you and getting to know more about your career.
Yeah, I had a great time. It was actually a lot of fun. So thank you.
You're welcome. All righty, Sam. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Okay.
You too. Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.